All right, y'all. So I came in and I created the setup, and I was trying to figure out what it was I was doing wrong. We had the setup and everything that I had measured had worked, and I was curious as to what sources of error or what part of my process we could be doing wrong. So what I've done is I've created the setup and I collected my own data. So for my 2-book ramp, here, I'll keep it this way so then it's face up when you guys watch this. But I got 0.93 as my average time. So I plugged that in. Notice I have 3 sig figs for my meter stick. Well, I have a ton of certainty markings, so I actually do have 3 sig figs with the meter sticks that we have. It's 1.00. It's precise to the hundredths place. And then I have my time, so I have to round to 2 sig figs, which is why I get my 1.1 meters per second for the 2 books. Now, taking a step back, I did the same thing for the 1 book. I got an average time of 1.26. So I plug that in and I get 0.79 meters per second. So obviously 1 book is a little bit slower than 2 books. And now I come over here and I calculated the difference. Remember, with motion is relative. So to the faster marble, as it gains on the slower marble, it really only feels like it's going 0.31 meters per second. So I used its frame of reference, and I used the slow marble as my reference point so I could compare their speeds. That's why I can do this, okay? So now I have my difference in velocity, my difference in speed. So I plug that in. Now in my setup, this is where the issue was with ours. Notice how I've put this setup, my single book, is about 1/2 meter ahead of my 2-book setup. So it's just about maybe a hair above 50, but it's about 1/2 meter in front. So what that means is if I release both of these marbles at the same time, once they accelerate down the ramp and they start their motion, they should be about 50, they should be about 1/2 meter apart, okay? Now this ramp here is a little bit shorter, and as far as this distance, so I compensated for that over here, and that's why this is a little bit like 2 centimeters beyond. It's just a little bit beyond 50 to account for that steeper slope and this more shallow slope, okay? So there's my setup, and notice I've created a lane with 4 meter sticks. Now that I had that 1.6 seconds, I said, well, how far will this slow marble go in those 1.6 seconds? So I calculated that over here. So in 1.6 seconds, given the speed, I can calculate the distance, right? And I get, with the 2 sig figs, I get 1.3 meters. Well, this is much more precise than that, but according to sig figs, I have to account for that. So, given the lack of precision in my measurements, I gave myself a range. 0.1 meters is 10 centimeters. So, over here, I accounted for that. I said, well, here's my initial reading, it's like 126 centimeters, which is where I put my line is. That's where, if I had more precise measurements, that's where it would go. And then you'll see I have about a 20 centimeter window here. I said at some point these marbles will be in line in this time frame. And the next